girl called Beth. She was a ballerina, a dancer.
Right.
To really see about your suppleness, your fitness, and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Must have found guys who couldn't even survive, you know. So there was lots of tests for it, and I got on the stunt team. And I was there for 3 years, and I eventually got the equity card. We had to do live stuff. Do sometimes the Highland Games. I did the Highland Games with Jeff Capes and John Paul Simpson.
Right.
And I was doing a story about Jeff Capes. I was in Aviemore in Scotland.
Right.
And I took up some of my martial arts guys with me because I knew that I could do a martial arts display. And there was a guy called Martin, bless him. He was a dear friend of mine. He's passed away now. And we were doing a bow staff fight. And Jeff Capes was standing off to the side. And Martin, his bow staff came out of his hand and whizzed right past Jeff Capes' ear. And he was looking the other way, Jeff Capes. With that, Martin's going, so legged it off, and Jeff Capes turned around and saw me with bow staff in my hand. So, strong man. Had a little bit of an altercation there. He was just sort of lumbering, ripped the head off and all this stuff. Calmed down, but I've got a great picture of later on having a picture of Jeff Capes. He's got his arm around me, and he's squeezing my neck. And I've got my weight off. If you look at the picture, my heel's raised.
Right.
If you carry on, Jeff, I'm going to break your toes. I've got this picture. Yeah, so anyway, I did John Paul Sigmundson, lovely man, he was there. And all these big, strong guys who you've just got to fire for. Well, I don't know how you get yourself into that dedicated lifestyle. What you could say about me and you.
Yeah.
You're wrestling, me martial arts, they chose that way.
Yeah.
So the diversity of the stunt team, you had to do lots of things. You had to be able to act. You had to be like an athlete and a acrobat. But I did get to work with some gorgeous women, so that was definitely
that's a plus. Yeah, there's a plus there. And then from there, like, what was the first sort of initial door into sort of getting some bigger roles, and obviously where you ended up getting into, especially, like, how did that come about? Was that an easy transition, or again was that more you had to network and all the rest of it?
I spent about 10 or more years doing extra work, travel work. And then when you get trusted that you could, I always used to make sure I stayed on set, watching all the actors act, and the directors start to watching them. Yeah.
That's a good little hint for anybody that wants a tip.
Yeah, well, the extras, a lot of them just do it. They just want it for a paycheck, go off and pass, eat the food. I wanted to be an actor. So I tried to learn my craft. I'd sit there writing things down, everything else. And then I did a few episodes of The Bill in the early days. Then the director came to me and said, do you think you can handle a couple of lines? Drama class and do it. So handle a couple of lines. And so then my agent, I said to her, look, Marcel, I've had enough of the extra stuff, you know. I've had lines on this and that. Could you put me forward for small parts? So I did. And I started to get small parts that got bigger parts. And that's how you transition. It's a bit like the martial arts. When you're ready for it, you try and dive in ready. When they say act, you freeze, and the world is, you know.
I know how that is.
I did. It brought it all back to me, really. I've been in the acting fraternity now since 1982, 83, and I did a thing called Star Trek Renegades 6 years ago in Hollywood, with a load of original Star Trek actors, original series and from different series, and there was the woman who was in Blade Runner.
Right.
It's Rachel. She played Rachel.
Yeah. I know the one.
Sean Young.
Yeah.
She'd been out of Hollywood for years because she got thrown out. Anyway, so I was there on the set watching all these scenes, and I had to play different parts. One was a Klingon in full makeup, dialogue, and the other one I was a Starfleet admiral they tried to assassinate. So I was me, and this. And what I found, you're ignored totally when it's not your turn.
Yeah.
But the second it's your turn, it's like, you know, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, when the lights go,
it's on you.
And the gravity of everyone turning right. There's a guy called Tim Russ. He played he's a black guy, Tuvok in a Voyager, and he's a director now. So even though I'd known Tim, I spoke to Tim, and when it was my turn, he came up to me and said, "Buddies, your shit together. Your shit needs to be together." Right? It's time's money. God, unless you've got a belief in yourself.
Yeah.
Been through.
It's so true as well. I tell people this all the time, that when I think before I started acting, you always have this thing where you're around your friends and you go, yeah, I could do that. I could act in that. Absolutely. I could do this. I could do that. But man, you go to one of those auditions and if they're using a camera as well, and it's here, it's there, and you're trying to do this balancing act of not putting it. I remember my first part. It was for some hooligan football thing, and what I realised was I thought I'm going to have to just be different, because everybody that was going in there was just shouting. They were just like, ah. So I thought, So I thought I'm going to take it down to 10. That was my advice given to me. They just said, whatever you're thinking, notch it down to 10. So I thought, right, okay, I can see where I need to be. So I calmed it down. But like you say, when that camera's like put on you and they go, go, that is a whole different ball game. And I remember being on sets where it was like that, and it's so true as well. It's like everything is being ignored about you until it's your turn, your line.
Then you're under scrutiny. Totally,
the pressure behind that is just
incredible.
It can be overwhelming at times. I mean, it takes a long time. I don't think I ever got used to it, to be fair, but it takes a long time to get used to it. To that whole feeling and just being able to
use that feeling rather than letting it frighten you to death. So
because you're almost sort of too nervous to cock it all up, and for them to go, right, do it again, and think, oh god, I'm holding everything up. Exactly, because it's one of those things as well. I think that now I never did any drama school or anything like that, but I used to be around a lot of people, especially when you go for auditions, that had been. And when the gig come about in Hollywood, it was basically an agency, and I didn't really think much of it. They just told me to come along. But what I realised is that they weren't really looking for what I'd call drama actors, because a lot of them were doing Macbeth and all this kind of quite elaborate stuff, sort of talking to you at the back of the room. And obviously on film, it's just you and the camera. So I thought, well, and I realised it was more about, especially with Hollywood, and this is something they'll never teach you in a drama school, is the business side of it, which you certainly have to realise by the time you get there, is that it's all about marketability. It's about likability with the agent that's going to work with you. Are you going to be, a good communicator with everybody? And to be honest with you, if you can do that side of it, and you haven't quite got to be, the greatest actor in the world to be able to get those parts, you've just got to be able to be quite confident in yourself and what you're doing. But for the most part, exactly. It's a very different thing though to what you get taught in those schools. I'm sure you've had loads of experiences with directors and how stressful that can be. Obviously, producers and all the rest of it, they're on budgets, and those are the things you don't really always hear about when you're going into acting, is the money side of it. And of course it does get crazier and crazier. What obviously you said, like those parts that you got, I mean, eventually what were some of the things that you ended up doing in terms of the UK stuff? First of all, did you just do more and more like sort of smaller TV shows, and then the gigs across the pond started to happen?
Well, there's no martial arts films in England.
So, no, I was going to say.
I did all the main TV shows, The Darling Buds of May.
Yeah.
When it first came out, and I actually got a kiss from Catherine Zeta-Jones. But
wow, there you go. That's something. I used to love that show, actually. Very good.
Yeah, it was lovely in those days.
Yeah.
And I was a duty solicitor on the bill, Mr. Whitlock, recurring thing.
Yeah.
You get these little grains of dialogue, and you're happy when you do it. Your friends and your mum, and I'm going to be on telly, look,
Yeah.
And when the confidence slowly started to grow, and I got bigger and bigger parts, I got approached by a company to do the first interactive DVD called Advanced Warriors, using CGI, using people. Yeah. So there was a woman from Star Trek Deep Space Nine in that, and Jeremy Bullock played Boba Fett in Star Wars.
Okay, yeah.
And I had the lead role. And we fought demons and giants and vampires and dragons. And if you get killed, you go back and start again.
Okay.
Or choose it. On the DVD, you could go left, right, run.
So it's like a choice, like what we see now on Netflix.
It was massive because every choice had another.
The
story.
Yeah.
So that's the first starring role I had.
I bet that took a long old time to shoot that lot then. All those different outcomes.
The rehearsals were 3 months because the director said to me, "Right, you got the lead part. Well done. How long would it take you to train up a group of actors to really do some like Hong Kong style martial arts?" I said, "No." I said, "I could find it easier." Right? I said, martial arts school with really good students in it. I can get 3 months of drama training to do the odd line now and again.
Yeah.
And the rest had masks on all this. I said,
Yeah.
because what kind of stuff would you? And also, I shot kick to his face, and I said, "Oh." So we filmed that for months, and it was great in the end to do.
Yeah.
And because it was the heartbreaking thing, because it was so interactive. This is back in 1999.
Right.
2000. When it was released, I thought, wow, my first starring thing. And they put with it on the extras all the rehearsals, interviews. And I was in the British Empire years.
Right.
Patrick. And the girl who plays the little blonde one called Linda, Jill Greenacre, I got Jill together with me and I got a loan out and got some things. And I did a self-defense DVD called Need to Know Self-Defense. Stuff. She did the female side, I did the male side.
Okay.
And it hadn't been released yet. And the Advanced Warriors guy said, "Can we put your DVD on the extras?" You know? It's a great time. So anyway, at the big party, and I went to a place called Forbidden Planet and saw Rosamund.
Mad place, yeah.
So Rosamund on the shelf, and I thought,
yeah,
I'm getting there. And the problem was, because it was so early days, Grundig's and something else, Panasonics, discs, couldn't have activity.
Oh,
Tons of people loved it, and they withdrew them. And it devastated me. You know.
Yeah, I bet.
You're prepared for, but there's still lots of feedback. People have Advanced Warriors parties where you have teams and who can get us killed less or more.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So that's my first experience having a starring role, and again, that prepared me for responsibility. You know, when preparation meets opportunity, success begins. If you don't prepare for it when it comes along, like your mates, I could always do that. Good day. You know?
Yeah.
So I think it means a lot to you. You prepare for it.
Absolutely.
So I've got Advanced Warriors, and slowly the American contact. I used to go over there to train with the Bruce Lee people.
Yep.
But I was always a long-time Star Trek fan. Here, back to those two pictures on my wall, Captain Kirk, my dad ranting and smashing the place up and all this.
Yep.
I was at a Star Trek convention. The only place he'd let us go, me and my mum, was to a Star Trek convention.
Right.
Yeah. And every year that was our holiday. In our house, we had no water, one cold tap, no heating, nothing. We were poor as church mice, as they say.
Wow.
It's safe to go to our Star Trek convention once. And when you see someone who looked on your black and white television, black and white, those are the days.
Yeah.
They're the only ones. You're on the stage. I think I've been to about 4 conventions, and then there was a problem with some football hooligans smashing this city. We were seeing Alien before it came out. A pre-showing of Alien in a cinema beside the hotel. And we heard. I was in the lobby with my mum. We heard this crashing and noise. Looked out, and there's these thugs rioting along the road, smashing things. And there was a girl on calipers with red hair. I remember calipers trying to get into the cinema. The thugs were about to.
Right.
Instinctively, I ran out, grabbed this girl, literally threw her into someone and then I turned around and punched this guy in the face. Don't know who he was, what he was. He was. I pulled the doors to, and because they were pull open doors and not push in, the crowd was there. It sounds very dramatic, doesn't it? I put my arm through the doors. I couldn't have prevented them pulling. You know, if they were pushing, they weren't. They were pull open doors, and they were trying to push them in. Maybe 2 minutes till the police come and all this. But because I did that and it helped save myself and my mum, you know, George Takei, who plays Sulu, was the guest.
Oh, okay.
He said, they let me go for breakfast with George Takei, and George was a runner. So, and I went for a run with George Takei. And when George went back to the States, he spoke about this young guy who'd helped. Jimmy Doohan, who plays Scotty, came over next time, and they let me look after Scotty.
Right, okay, cool.
Snowballed,
so and
then a guy called Richard Arnold, who was Gene Roddenberry's assistant, creator of Star Trek. He came over, he'd heard about me, struck up a friendship, and then at home, we never had a phone. My aunt had a phone downstairs. Phone call evening. It was Richard Arnold from Paramount Pictures. Gene Roddenberry had invited me to go to Paramount.
Wow.
sets as he sketched.
You gotta be buzzing.